All right. So while we wait for the others, to have you here. And Marcella, this may be interesting for you because
Mhm.
it is a little bit the essence of what we did, Marlies and I, why we got to it. And 7, 8 years ago already, we started with the 9 mile marathon, and we thought it was actually Marlies' idea to kind of put it together, a little presentation about why we did it and what the differences are. Um, it is really our view. So what we see happening with our students and what we did. So after my presentation, maybe you can add your findings, what the program means for you, and uh, or maybe things we don't know yet. So, but let me first do the presentation, and then you can see um, what it's all about. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me see here.
Mhm.
Let me see. Right. Okay. Yeah. So basically, the 9 mile marathon name that's fully linked to running marathons, and that's where we come from. So the program we developed, the 9 mile marathon training program, is originally really focused on folks, runners who want to run marathons and do it in a very good way. And by that time, I think it was Marlies 2015 or so, maybe even 10 years ago, that there were a couple of other trainers who came with alternative systems. And here in the Netherlands, we had a kind of a system. They called it Marathon Revolution. It's not there anymore. I don't know where they are right now. And there were in the triathlon world where we were, of course, active. There were new trainers with new views and everything. So everybody starts developing new views, and they were all a bit different from the traditional way of thinking. And the traditional way of thinking has always been nothing can beat the number of miles you're running. The more miles you run and the more you suffer, the better you will be. And that's basically it. So then we started developing this. All right. So this is actually the traditional way of thinking that long runs, they are building your aerobic endurance and your structural strength. So basically, you go out there and you run for hours. That's basically the idea, and that's also where Marlies and I started when we started running 20 years ago or something, or 30 years ago. And uh, they all the traditional ways have one thing in common, that they're running distances that are close to marathon distance. So if you're training for a marathon of 26 miles, in your training program, you're doing runs like 20 miles, even 22 miles. And still, we have friends and people we know who are training the traditional way. And when the marathon is 2 months out and you still have 2 months of training, they're already training every weekend, like maybe 15 or 18 miles, right? Or at least the people we know of, it's
Yeah.
incredible number of miles. And
Hey, sure.
hello, Sharon. Hi. We already started with the little presentation. It's basically the background of where the 9 mile marathon, well, Marlies and I developed, originated. We just said it was maybe already in 2015, so like 10 years ago. Um, so and also the thing is that um, you ran the long run slow, and basically slower than the pace you're going to run at your marathon, so at the event. And basically, the pace you ran is is quite irrelevant as long as it is slower than your marathon pace. And then there was this miracle belief that when you're training the traditional way, slow and long, then on race day you will be able to run faster and even a bit longer, which is what we felt, and the other trainers back then felt like, hey, this is not so logic. It's not so, there's no really a real science behind it that if you can run 20 miles slow, that on race day you can run 26 miles quicker, and which is even a bit longer. So that's the inconsequence, maybe, if you can say, of the traditional way of thinking and the traditional way of training for marathons. And yeah, this is what we saw really happening, and that's what you hear. Hello, Paul. Good to have you. Good to see you.
Yeah, hello. How you doing? How's everybody doing?
Hi. Yeah, we just started with the we have a little presentation about our where the MHR and the Nijmegen Marathon originates. And we're talking a bit about the traditional way of training. And this, where we are right now, is that what Marlies and I really saw happening, and of course what you maybe have experienced yourself by your own experience, or maybe it's friends, that the traditional way of training is really leading to injury. It is, I mean, there was so much injury always caused by the training program. And what Marlies and I still experience is that the friends we have here in the Netherlands and in Europe who are still training the traditional way, they really have to stop training because of injury. It always happens, and that's in fact it's in fact ridiculous, but it's still happening. And then there is mental and physical exhaustion during the program. So, and that's the what we reuse that in the past, like a metaphor, like that daddy is tired in the weekend, he can't do anything anymore. I mean, he is so tired from the Saturday morning training, or from the Sunday morning training, or the training after church, or whatever, that for the rest of the day, for the rest of the weekend, daddy is not able to do anything anymore, because he's simply, because every weekend he's doing these long runs, he is getting so tired that he has to really back off, and then he misses the other things, the other nice things in the weekend. And now with Marlies following all the studies of Stacy Sims, Dr. Stacy Sims, about women and performance and running and pre and post menopause and all, and the cycle and everything, we learn a lot about the hormonal balances, and they all have to do with cortisol, which leads to stress. And if you are in that cycle of every weekend pushing yourself to fatigue, and you are in that stress, then there will weight issues will appear, inflammation, of course, will appear, sleep disorders, etc., etc. And that's what we see happening. And then another thing is that the studies we follow, that the nerve system, and then in particular the parasympathetic nerve system, will break down. That is the nerve system we are not doing consciously. That is the nerve system on the background, who's taking care of all of the important things that are happening when you are, for instance, recovering. So the sympathetic nervous system is the rest and digest branch of the autonomic nervous system, responsible for conserving your energy, reducing stress, and maintaining bodily functions like digestion, heart rate, and things we learned, orthology, when the body is at rest or asleep. So it basically means that through the exhaustion and through getting more and more tired, also the nervous system is really affected. And this is basically what's happening. And that explains why relatively so many runners who are in 4 and 5 month training programs that are already doing, let's say, 18 or 20 milers 2 months before the race, are getting into this stage. So for Marlies and I, this is really, what we see happening and explainable why it is happening. But it's by far, by no means accepted in the runner's world. If you read Runner's World magazine, then they're still, copying the schedules of the pros, and then saying, hey, if it's good for them, it should be good for us. And what we see then, which is in fact a bit sad if you are becoming aware of it, you see people aging quicker when they're training the traditional way. And you see really people suffer from chronic injuries, which is sad because it's just repetitive stress injuries and things you can relate to the crazy amounts of running. And yeah, one thing in particular, if you run those crazy amounts, like the crazy distances every weekend, for the top professional endurance athletes, an 18 miler or a 20 miler is way less than 2 hours, which is in fact not such a long distance training. But for us, if we copy it, it is a training of 3.5, 4, 5 hours, which makes it ridiculous if you do that every weekend. So what Marlies and I saw is that we see people losing their interest in running, and basically what we also see is they get frustrated, and then you see people losing their interest in their overall fitness. It's still happening. We see it happening everywhere. So, well, quickly, of course, you're all 9-milers and Centrathon students, so you know this. But what we do instead, kind of the basic lines is we help you find what we call your MHR sweet spot. So the marathon heart rate, the sweet spot, and if you run and really learn your body to run and produce and perform on the sweet spot heart rate, then we found that running 9 miles is enough for training. It's not everything we do, but there's not so much more into running 16 miles if you run on MHR, because the MHR, which is exactly the marathon heart rate, does the work quicker because it's not so slow. You're not just underperforming, you're performing exactly on your marathon heart rate, and you're training your body exactly what it takes to run at that pace. But there are a couple of real differences. We do, and you all know that, a lot of strength training. And strength training in a broad sense, like structural strength, functional strength, and the Metcon type of strength, the metabolic conditioning types of strength training, like CrossFit, Hyrox. Well, what George is doing, the SEAL Fit trainings. Well, what I explained you guys, the type of trainings that are really beneficial for your overall health and fitness. So that's coming from CrossFit, from Hyrox, from the WODs we are doing. And that combination, together with MHR runs at maximum 9 miles, is a very strong combination. And then, of course, as you know, we do interval training and speed work, which really has specific goals and specific results. And then through Centrathon, we also added, basically in the 9-mile marathon, we called it the ESS, the energy supply switch. But now we see a bit broader, and we added the biomarkers and all the measurable things. And I know some of you are really, really doing that very, very precise. And then you see the benefits. And also the spin-off, of course, is that there is a hormonal balance and a nerve system health. So let me, those are the final slides, our findings. And I'm going to ask you after my presentation if you are missing things in this presentation, and also how your findings will be. Our findings, so Marlies and my findings, that's based on our own experiences, because of course we trained different in our past, in our youth as well, but also of the experiences with the hundreds of students. We just did a little math, and we are somewhere like over the past 7-8 years, we trained 500 students in person. So that means having a look into their lives and seeing how everything changes and everything, like as we do with you guys. And well, these are a quick, you know, spontaneous kind of list of our findings. Well, what the big thing, that's the first thing, is what we see, that our students are simply getting stronger and feeling better during the training program. So when we are training for a marathon, and we do with a couple of you guys, for, let's say, for October, then you're getting better and you're getting stronger. And that's totally different from the traditional way, where people are really getting tired and they have to do kind of moments that you have to hold back and that you have to kind of recover a little bit and then start training again. And that's by no means the case with the way we are training. And then well, that's more statistics, but what we find is the second point is that most of the students we train the 9 miler way and who keep training the 9 miler way, so they really train to the T according to the concepts and the systems we ask them to do, they make it to the starting line and to the finish line. And that's, of course, for us is the biggest reward. If people are making it to the starting line, they're happy, they feel good at the starting line, and then of course it's always like the third point, it's never easy. I mean, marathon running is always heavy and it's exhaustive and everything, but if you make it to the finish line and you feel good and there's no bad things happening, then you're happy, and then you'll recover. And the third thing is that we didn't have any, or hardly had any, real breakdowns like bunkers during all those years. Of course, it's always difficult, and sometimes people are having a hard time, of course, finishing their marathons. But we didn't really have those breakdowns that you hear about, that people have really to quit. And the traditional bonkers, that they are totally running out of energy, and then of course they cannot finish, so they did not finishes. And then the fourth thing is that all of our students confirm that their success is a combination of all the aspects of our program. So it's not just one thing, it's the whole combination of all the things we mentioned, with running, the long distance running in different ways, strength training, the interval work, the nutritional part, the metabolic part. It's the whole combination, and that makes it so successful, probably. Yeah, I wanted to share that with you too, that maybe you recognize that for yourself as well. But most of our students have started training more diverse and participating in not just running events, which is special, because you're getting better in controlling marathons and half marathons, and maybe quicker 10Ks. And we have had trail running students, ultra running students. Well, we have Hanel in South Africa, who is doing full Ironman. She's doing what's that called, that crazy long event in South Africa, the Comrade. The Comrade runs that's I think 100K or something like that. And she's also, even with that kind of endurance base, she's also kind of started training more diverse, with doing lots of different things, more playful, and which is possible because it's not needed that you just only do running. And in fact, we prove the opposite. The more diverse you train, it's even going better, the marathons. And then, of course, most of our students have adopted a different enhanced nutritional habits with improved measurable biomarkers. That's the good thing about Centrathon, that we measure everything so you can see it. Well, today we have in our group Marcella, and she is to the T and recording everything, so disciplined. But then you're able to really actually see what's happening with those biomarkers, and basically what's happening, not just by feel. Yeah, and this is what we hear a lot, that MHR running even if you're running on marathon pace, people feel like, hey, this is the kind of system I can maintain in up up until I'm really getting older, and that's another big difference from the traditional way of training, that nobody is saying that he's able to kind of keep training every weekend 20 miles or running in his 70s and 80s and 90s. But that's what we hear. Hey, this is a system that gives me the basis, the structures, and the basically this the concepts with which I'm able to kind of keep on going until I'm older. And I know how to make the changes when I get older with the system. And that makes us very happy, because that's basically the longevity aspect of our program, which is so worthwhile. That's tons of value. And then the final one is, some of our students have reported unexpected improvements. Sometimes they share it with us, sometimes we see it happening. And those are real life and health, social, even work improvements. And to give you one example, what we hear quite frequent is that people have the idea that everything like work is costing less energy. For some reason, it is, we don't know, of course, why, but it is connected, that if you can do your sports and your running and other sports in a way we do, and there's energy left for being at home with the kids and everything, even when you're training, also other aspects of your life, and even some things like work improve. And one of the main things I heard, or main things, maybe an interesting thing I heard, is that because of the way you're now training and you're feeling, you are picking up things that you left waiting idle for years, or maybe for a time, and now finally you get this kind of energy to pick it up and do it, which is interesting, because that has nothing to do with your running, but it definitely has a positive effect on life. So yeah, that was my 10 cents on the system. So I'm really interested to hear, because I will definitely have forgot not mentioned things that you have in mind about what the system has, or if you have questions about specific slides or lists of benefits or whatever, please let us know right now, and we can talk about that, and maybe we can have a nice discussion about it. Marlies, did I forget things? Because we did.
Yeah, I was thinking, well, what I
Sure.
noticed is that our students are so motivated that they don't, after running a marathon, they're so happy and they want to set a new goal directly. So I want to do another marathon, or I'd like to improve my time or in a half marathon, or so they're so excited, feel so good, and they recover so quick. They even there are students who run their personal best on the 10K after like a month or 6 weeks after the marathon. So they get in a nice kind of flow, and yeah, so we discuss new goals and set new goals, and that is for us as coaches, that is yeah, that's great. That's why we do it, why we love it so much, and that we get this feedback. And yeah, after running a personal best on whatever distance, that is cool. Your first ever marathon, like Paul did, very successfully. Yeah, and now we're filled up with new ideas. So let's see what's next. And yeah, running personal best on a 10, and I think maybe Paul wants to do another marathon. So yeah, that's great to hear. Yeah.
I mean, just to follow up on that, Marlies, yeah, everything you had in the slides there, Boz, they're spot on for the experience I had. I remember the first time you and I talked, it was way back in December when I was deciding whether or not to do this. And you, even in that conversation, I remember one of the advices you gave to me was about simple things, just exercise on an empty stomach. So I never did that before. I'd always chomp on bagels and eggs before I go out. And I started doing that right away. And I felt a difference within like a few days of my running. You know, when we went, and I've run half marathons before. I started when I was in my early 50s, the first one, but I've been running my whole life. But it was kind of haphazard. The only exercise I did was occasional push-ups. I never did any stretching. I never did the other exercises. And in incorporating those exercises, really, I felt a difference in what I was doing. Even just running 3 days a week. When I would tell that to some other people that I was training for a marathon, they looked at me like I was crazy. And they said, well, how you run? I said, I'm only going to run 3 days a week, and I'm not going to run more than 9 miles. And they just, it just, they said, that's not right. And I said, well, I got a program. I read a book several years ago about this, and I tried it. Well, I was in the process of trying it, but everybody on this call probably knows this, but it works. And I ran my fastest 5K in early July that I did since like 2014. And now I'm going to try to run my fastest 10K since that same amount of time in a few 3 or 4 weeks. So, and you know, tweaking the diet a little bit, you know, just watching a little bit of your sweets. You know, so yeah, I'm a believer, and I didn't hit the wall during the marathon. I didn't bonk out. So yeah, I'm convinced it works. And I lost about 10 pounds that I haven't gained back. So that's even better.
Thank you.
Which is in fact not our goal, because we're not a diet club, but it most happens. But I can share that with you, Paul, that our concern always is, and I think all of you had this talk with me, that I'd rather have someone kind of keep their weight and muscle up a little bit and get stronger, and then maybe lose here and there a pound, but just losing weight for the sake of losing, I think that's not beneficial for your performance overall. And but what you did is exactly right, and I know from a couple of other students that's exactly the same. You lose a little bit. I had this morning with one of our students from England, Robin. He has been on the call as well, and he lost a bit of kilos. That maybe for what you're saying is actually 4 or 5 pounds, but then gained a lot of strength. So I think the net value has really become even better, because you're losing a bit of weight, you're gaining muscle mass, you're losing fat. So you know, the bad fats you can lose anyway, and then I think you're on the right track. And of course, for running, the body weight is really influential. I mean, for if you can lose a bit of kilos and not losing your muscle, then I mean, that's so helpful. That's incredible. Yeah, so thanks for sharing.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, Marcella. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Well, I have a question. Today I wanted to try the 30, 20, 10 running. I saw your video, but as it will be the first time for me, how many repetition is better if I do, in order not to be bad after?
Yeah. Well, it's quite an intense training. So
Yes.
I would maybe you know, because 30, 20, 10 together is a minute.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. And if you repeat it, I would do it 8 times.
8 times.
As a starter, and then see how you feel. There are basically two ways you can do this training. So what we call it the 30, 20, 10 training. You can just keep on repeating. So repeat it 8 times or 12 or 16 or 24, which is very very heavy, and you can split it up in, let's say you split it up in 3 times 8 times, and that's where you can start, because then you just start with 1 time 8 times this doing this cycle, right?
Okay.
So 8 would be the answer for you, and see how you feel, because it's adding up a little bit. You know, every time after you did the quick part, you have to go back to the slower dribbling kind of, but that will get more and more difficult the longer you get on the interval training. But great, you're going to try.
Mhm.
Really cool. Yes, please. I think someone else also wants
So
to ask.
I would like to
Yes, please, Dave.
talk a little bit about my experience. So before I joined with you guys, when I was in heavy marathon training, I would be running between 110 and 120 kilometers a week. My long runs were Sunday morning, it usually at least 3 hours. There were times I would do a long run more than 42K, so I essentially run longer
Yeah.
than a marathon. And I felt, mentally and physically ready for the marathon. I did have issues with injuries and stuff. And that's why I started to look for something different. And even now that I've run 3 or 4 marathons with you guys, I have to admit, when I get to the starting line and I think to myself, I've only run 15K. Am I really going to be able to do this? And every time I finished, and I finished well, and felt good afterwards. There was a couple times when I was doing the really long training and when I finished a marathon, I would just feel absolutely dead. But with these marathons I've done after starting with you guys, sure, you're tired and marathons hurt. And they're very tiring and everything. But, I get through the finish line, I get my medal, and not too long after that, I feel like I get ready to go again. So that's been something, one, that just been surprising for me, just the fact that even as Paul mentioned, run 3 days a week, and only maximum 15K, and you can do a marathon and do it in a good time. The other thing I really like is I like the cycle, and when I was just doing the 110K a week, obviously there's not a whole lot of time to cycle when you're running that much.
Mhm.
So, now I'm able to cycle a couple of days a week, and I enjoy it. So it's fun for me to do that. And there have been times where if I have a naggle or something that flares up, like a couple of weeks ago, I had a hamstring kind of flare up on me a little bit. So since I was riding my bike a lot, I could kind of start to switch a little bit and do more stronger, harder rides and back off a little bit on the running to help me through it and not feel like I had to completely stop. I know I got plantar fasciitis before I was with you guys, and I was just running, and then I had to stop running. I had to stop running for a long time, and I wanted to cycle, but since I wasn't cycling, to go from no cycling to cycling a lot, to try to replace marathon running, marathon training wouldn't work either, because you got to start from nothing and build up, and especially your butt has to get used to the bike seat, and that was impossible for me to do. So that was another thing that I really like, is the fact that I can cycle, and if there is a little bit of an issue with something that's going on with my body from running, I'm confident I can easily move over to more cycling and harder cycling and be good. So for me, those are the 2 big things that I really like.
Yeah, and on top of that, Dave, you did that challenge, you remember?
Yeah,
Between marathons, you wanted to,
yeah,
you picked a challenge in a particular amount of altitude training. You wanted to hit a pretty high number. And then we decided just to focus on the cycling for several weeks.
Yeah.
And then switch back to the marathon, which went flawless. You
Yeah.
did so well. And that I know you like cycling so much. So I like to give you the opportunity to focus on cycling, then switch back to marathon running, and your body is adapting quite easy. So that works quite well for you. So you can do both. And yeah, I'm happy that works well for you.
Mm.
Hi, George. How was your 9-miler? We were just talking about 9-mile runs, so tell us
Yeah,
everything about it.
I got my third 9 mile run here again,
Excellent.
right before the call. So that's my third one in the last week and a half, and I ran it on a level surface. I did it at Oceanside Harbor this time. The first two times I did it was I did that Torrey Pines hill climb. You know, it's a 5.5% grade, 1.5 miles up, and then 1.5 back, 3 loops. That's 9 miles.
Yeah.
And I noticed when I did the hill climbs, I compared it. You know, there was a comparison feature in Strava, and I was doing them like 30 or 45 seconds faster than I did back in April. You know, when I was training for the Mountains to Beach marathon. You know, that had, you know, a descent, so I had to do the hill climbs there. So, but I think that speed increase, you know, going downhill, I was like doing 7-minute miles, and then in April I was doing like 7.5, you know, and it's fast because of the grade, you know, coming back up, it's more like 9 or 10 minutes or something like that. But I think the speed increases, you know, maybe you know, the strength training, you know, that's been a big part of it, and opening up my stride, you know, so I was going a lot faster. But at the same time, I felt it a lot more, so I needed 2 days of recovery after the 2 runs, hill climb runs on Friday and Sunday. So I took Monday and Tuesday kind of off, and then I did a recovery swim yesterday, and then I thought today I'll just run on a level surface, and then I'll get. So I think I'm doing a pretty good mix right now of the hill climb.
Sounds like it. Yeah, and I'm glad you took that recovery for 2 days, because if you feel you need that, then follow a rigid schedule. That's one of our topics as well. Just listen to your body, take that extra day, eat and sleep well, and don't catch up with trainings. You could just continue where you the next day, what's on the menu, and then go from there. And good for you, George. Nice. Well done. I've seen the hill training on Strava you did. I was like, oh my gosh, that was quite a pace.
And a nice thing about the swimming is it totally complemented. I mean, even though my legs were still a little bit tired, you know, as you know, I'm kind of using the hand paddles and the pull buoy, you know, because, you know, doing the triathlon thing also, in addition to the marathons, and, you know, trying to scale that up. And the swims, you know, in the triathlon, you try to save your legs. And so that's definitely what I did yesterday during my swim. Just all hand paddles for half a mile, and then normal
excellent
for the other half.
Great.
Fun. It was fun. No, it was relaxing too, you know, no stress.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks.
I think, George, you were going to do the Big Bear as well. The Big Bear Marathon,
me and Marley's talked about it. You know, because September I got, you know, the Tunnel Light Marathon, and then
many events.
I got a lot of events, and then Carlsbad I got a full marathon in January, and so we thought that that Big Bear, we're going to probably dial that back to a half.
Yeah. Oh, and because Rob McGrath, who is also on the call many times, he's going to do the full one.
Oh, he's going to be at Big Bear?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
Okay, maybe I'll see him.
Yes. But so I checked also the course and everything, and the half marathon is even the descent on the half is even more than just the overall descent for the whole distance. So yeah, I mean, the half marathon going down like that it will be like a dream.
Yeah, well, if I do that, I told the coach more, I mean, my intent wasn't to do an hour and a half at Big Bear, but I mean, I'll probably do it, but probably can't, that's probably not a good data point.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah.
It's got so much descent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For Rob, it will be really even with the time penalty of 10 minutes, for him it will be a Boston qualifier. He's
Yeah.
going for it. Yes.
That's right.
Finally.
It's 5,000.
Yeah.
It's 5,000. I think it's
5,000 feet.
5,000 feet of descent for the full, and then the Boston they penalize you 5 minutes for 1,500 feet, and then 10 minutes for 3,000 feet. So the 5,000 exceeds the 3 for Big Bear.
Yeah.
But it's still under 6, and then because then they said don't bother. We're not going to look at it. Too much help.
Yes. That's right. That's right. All right, Sharon, maybe?
Sharon, I didn't hear your voice yet.
There we go. I'm a little dozy, sorry. I'm working on tour, so this is my rest day, and I need it.
That's good. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think I've really given it the full shot that I need to yet, so I'm not sure what to say exactly. I mean, I love it, what I'm doing, but I haven't been consistent enough yet throughout this summer to really give you my full on it. So, I mean, I think it's awesome, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah, that's
I
okay.
mean, I
We know
haven't,
your
you know,
schedule.
Yeah,
it's
you
been-
were out quite
Yeah.
long.
and now I'm working, and then I'm working and working and working. So, yeah.
Mm.
So I'm just having to figure out a day to chat with Marlies and see what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do this. Because I mean, I'm running a couple of days a week only, and I still haven't, run far enough yet. But it just seems a time thing for me, and more than anything. And now it's like plus 35 here, and I'm in the mountains, so it's
Yeah.
so we're doing a lot of hiking, but it's like, yeah. So anyway, I mean, I don't know what to say exactly. I mean, I love the program and I think it's awesome, and various aspects that, so, but I haven't done it consistently enough to really, give it as good as George and Dave and Paul have anyway, and even Marcella. So yeah, it's all good.
All right. Well, hope to see you and talk soon. So please book your call so we can
Yeah,
get things going.
I'm gonna try for the 31st, but I'm not sure that I'll make that either, but I'm gonna try. Anyway, I
Okay.
appreciate
Yeah,
you guys.
and thank you for your input. And it's always, if you sometimes you feel like, hey, there's not much opportunity and not much possibility. And then when you speak with Marlies, and we can have a little look in your agenda and everything, and maybe we see opportunities and possibilities for you, to pick up things again. And then before you know, you're doing it.
Yeah.
But I must agree that the heat, we have a couple of our students living now in very hot areas in Canada and in the USA, and that makes. I mean, also, I spoke with Rob yesterday, Rob McGrath, and it's you see the differences on his performance going from, let's say, 88 Fahrenheit to 70 Fahrenheit. You see it. There's such a huge impact of the heat on your running performance, and I think around 85, 88, 90s, it's hardly doable. It's just, well, Marlies and I lived in the Caribbean, and it was sometimes so hot you just couldn't go out.
Well, then I start with my touring. I start at 6 in the morning already, and not that I can't, but now it's dark and I'm in the bear country, so it's like
Yeah,
it's like
you
okay.
have to be careful. Yes.
So I'm gonna try and do one tonight at after 7 because it's cooling down a little bit, but it's 35 here right now, so it's like, yeah, it's too warm.
Yeah, that's
So I'm gonna try 7. Tonight's my night off, sort of thing. So I'll give it a go and see if it cools down and have a run.
Yeah.
trying to still at least get a couple in, but I'm a little disappointed in not being able to keep going, and my strength training's kind of gone down a bit too, because I have whatever reason, just busy. No
Hmm.
excuse except life happens. So I'm
Yeah.
trying not to be too discouraged, and I'm quite happy getting a couple runs in. So anyway,
Yeah, and you told us you would have a very busy time with the work. So, but then just schedule the call with Marlies or with me. You
Yeah.
know, let's have a look together and see
Yeah.
what opportunities are there. So,
I'm still doing much better than I did last summer. So like
yes,
I kind of like fall off the edge. I haven't fallen off the edge yet.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm still
or-
quite happy with how things are. Just I'd love to be more consistent and see how I can do, because I can't seem to be consistent enough to actually get where I want to get. So
right. Let's talk about that on
yeah,
the call.
yeah. But I love it. I mean, I love the program. I think it's awesome. And it does keep
Yeah,
me moving.
yeah. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
I see a new name, Stephanie. Oh, that's very silent. All right. Well then, um, well let's then if any of you has do you have any particular things you would like to share or uh, kind of input or and why not let's call it and maybe see you next time uh, for um, for next week. Marlies and I are trekking, hiking in the Alps, so we thought that well it's it will be hardly doable for us to kind of guarantee that we can be on Wednesday
Yeah.
having good Wi-Fi and everything. So we would propose to not schedule a group call for next week. If it changes, I'll let you know, and we'll let you know. But probably there will be no group call, but only next week because we really like to be very consistent in the group calls, and it should always be on. So all right. So
I did have
if
a
there,
question, Baz, if
yeah,
you
yes,
have.
please.
I
Yes.
just was wondering how you came up with the 9 miles, like why 9? Or is it just trial and error, like I just wondered why 9 out of all of the numbers.
Yes. Well, that's a great question. The 9 mile, the distance, is a distance that is based on a research that has been done here in the Netherlands. I think it was 2012 or 13 or something. That was by scientists, and they already found the concept of training particular on your marathon heart rate. So the marathon heart rate and the 9 mile distance is related to the marathon distance.
Mm.
So it means your MHR is really the marathon heart rate. We help you find to be able to run a good solid marathon with 9 miles training. Right. So that these are connected. And that was already back then based on the research they did, this institute did on lots of runners.
Okay.
So then we started from there, and I think here in the Netherlands it was 14 kilometers.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And then I remember that in the early days, and the guys are gone. By the way, we don't see them anymore. But they had when they started based on science, they had people standing at the 14 kilometer sign, and
Marker, yeah.
they were waving for you like, "Hey, 14 kilometers. That's the amount you've been training, and now go ahead and." Do another 3 times 14 almost, which is a third of the full distance. So yeah, that's 9 miles. So that's where it comes from. But it is based on the research of what they did in the past on lots of runners, that the benefit of doing more trainings on this particular heart rate isn't huge. If you start training more miles, it is not giving you really anything for what the training purposes of the MHR. And then Marlies and I thought, okay, but then you have to do also add additional impulses and training impulses for getting better. And that became, because Marlies has always been a strength trainer, training very focused on strength training and also on interval and speed work and everything. And then together with Centerton and the metabolic part, we created this whole concept.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's probably in the book. It's been a long time since I read that, so.
Yeah. And in fact,
and I know the heart rate makes a big difference. That's another struggle that I have, is trying to get that steady. I'm still struggling to working on that. I shouldn't say struggling, but working on that, keeping it steady instead of up and.
Yeah, two things, Sharon. In the heat, it is way more difficult because when it's cold and there's more oxygen in the air and everything, it's way easier. And I now remember the researchers called, that's a lady, Stans van der Poel. And I think we even in the book dedicated a foreword to her, thanking her for the research she did back then. So I remember now, but that's 10 years ago. But it was the lady. She wasn't the inventor of that 14 kilometers thing. That was again another guy, a trainer, and I think they had a book or they had something published, and then then Marlies and I said, hey, this is so close to our beliefs and what we already feel, and now let's develop a full program with everything involved, right? And then that's basically where we started. And then the 9 mile, it also sounds nice. I'm a 9 miler and the kind of things. We had these t-shirts in the beginning of I'm a 9 miler. So yeah, that also helped.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for asking.
Well, I've had people ask me, well, why 9? And I'm thinking, oh, why? I forget.
Yeah. Well, the short answer is it's also, it's the marathon heart rate sweet spot, but it's also the distance sweet spot. That's the easiest to explain. Like this is more or less the good distance for running and making yourself ready for the marathon distance.
Right. Awesome.
All right. Aren't there any more questions, Marcella? No? All right. Then I want to thank you guys. Thank you for attending. So next week there will be probably no group call, but then afterwards I will send you the emails. Are you, by the way, all receiving our emails about the group calls? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, that's good, because we found with the emailing these days that we have so many problems, people not really receiving emails from Microsoft networks, from Gmail, from Google. So I'm asked. That's why I'm asking.
I just get it on WhatsApp, so that's all I get it on. But that's good enough. I said I get it on WhatsApp.
Yeah, but I'm not. I haven't been sending it this last time on WhatsApp. So you're missing. So you're not receiving the emails.
Well, I did. Well, no, I'm not. But I did. I seen it somewhere because I knew.
All right. It probably will be email. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks again. Have a good day.
Hey, bye, everybody.
Switzerland.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.